Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to walk through my understanding of visualization and how I would apply it in a business environment. Let me start by describing the core component of a virtual machine. First, you have the host machine. That's the physical computer with its own CPU, memory, storage, and network interface. Second, you have the hypervisor. This is that's the software that the layer that sit between the hardware and the virtual machines. There are two types. Type 1, which runs directly on the hardware. That's what companies like VMware and ESXi and Microsoft Hyper-V use. And, and type 2, which runs on top of an existing operating system like Oracle, VirtualBox on my laptop. Third, each virtual machine has virtual hardware, a virtual CPU, virtual RAM, a virtual disk, and a virtual network interface card. From the perspective of the operating system inside the VM, this all looks like real physical hardware. Yes, and fourth, you install a guest operating system on the virtual hardware, Windows, Linux, whatever the application requires. Finally, you have the application themselves running inside that guest operating system. So, to summarize, host hardware, hypervisor, virtual hardware, guest operating system, applications. That's the core stack. Business applications. Now, let me give you specific examples of how I would leverage virtualization in a business setting. I will share four real world scenarios. One, at the previous company I worked for, they had 20 physical servers, each running at only 10 to 15% capacity. That is a massive waste of power, cooling, and physical space. By virtualization, those workloads onto three physical hosts using type 1 hypervisor, which reduces hardware costs by over 80%, cut the data center power bill in half, and made management far simpler. One actually could manage what used to require. For the second example, legacy application isolation, I also encountered a manufacturing company that relied on an old Windows XP application for their inventory system. That application wouldn't run on Windows 11. Instead of keeping an ancient, insecure physical computer on their network, we virtualized Windows XP inside a VM on a modern host. The application ran perfectly, the host remained secure and patched, and the VM was completely isolated from the rest of the network except for what it needed. Thirdly, another example, a small accounting firm I consulted for couldn't afford a full duplicate data center. We used virtualization to take nightly snapshots of their critical file server and database servers. When ransomware hit their main server, we rolled back to a snapshot from 4 hours earlier. They lost only 4 hours of work instead of days or weeks. Without virtualization, that recovery would have required restoring from tape backups, which takes 12 to 24 hours minimum. Yeah. Also, finally, in a software development context, virtualization allows developers to spin up an exact copy of the production environment on their own laptop using Type 2 hypervisor. They can test code changes, break things on purpose, and then just delete the VM and start fresh. That's impossible with physical hardware. This speeds up development cycles from weeks to days. Also, to wrap up, the core components of a virtual machine are the host hardware, hypervisor, virtual hardware, guest operating system, and applications. In a business setting, I would apply virtualization for server consolidation, legacy application isolation, disaster recovery with snapshots, and development testing environment. Virtualization isn't just a technical concept, it's a tool that directly saves money, reduces risk, and makes IT teams more effective. That's exactly the kind of value I want to bring to your organization. Thank you for the questions. I'm happy to go deeper into any of these examples um, if you would like. Thank you for watching. Bye.